And I would much rather us focus on healthy so that he is going to be with us well far into the future. I want to leave before him.
Mm.
That's my goal, right? And if we do simple, I might leave after, and I don't want that. Let's not do simple. Never. Wellness warriors, never. You're more valuable. Do not do simple. I do think that most of us have tried to lose weight in the past. And in that effort to lose weight, a lot of us have gone to see our doctor, or maybe even been told by our doctor, have gone to see nutritionists. And in these scenarios, very often we are being told how to manage our food. We're giving some kind of information of what we should be eating, what we shouldn't be eating. We want to talk a bit about that today. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat. Yeah, should you just take that information you receive and apply it to the letter without questioning it? I have a very good example that if I didn't question that information, my 16 years old teen probably would have gained a good amount of weight instead of losing it, I think.
Or maybe at the minimum, not lost anything.
Oh, not lost anything, yeah. Or maybe not lost anything. Yeah, my son has Down syndrome, and I guess like during maybe the last 18 months or so, like with that situation we're living right now, we kind of lost control over his food. And his weight like went a little bit up. This little 16 years old, a little bit short, was getting close to 200 pounds.
How tall is he?
5'6". Talking with his mom, like that was followed by a nutritionist in the past that she liked. She suggested that we go see her again for my son. I'll try to have an open mind and see like what she had to say. First call we had with like the nutritionist, I was actually surprised. And even when I talked to you about it after, you were surprised.
You were really excited.
There is a little bit of visceral fat with the test we made. So she told us we need to cut the carb. So her idea was our body can manage 45 grams of carbs per meal or less. So total carbs for a day would have been 135 if my maths is good. So yeah,
which put him around 45. The range of low carb.
So I was like, wow, I was really excited.
Yeah.
The next step was I'm gonna make a meal plan and send it to you by email and just like log everything he eats.
So one of the things that I want to just point out, because you're going really fast in the story, and I think the thing that was cool was we were excited that the nutritionist mentioned low carb because you and mom were disagreeing on the direction to go for his weight loss, and you were proposing low carb, and that was not what she was proposing. So I feel like that was kind of cool because it like the nutritionist echoed what we already knew to be true, which is that that's where his excess weight was coming from.
Yeah. So for mom, she wasn't on board with my ideas at all about bringing the carbs down, but like hearing from the nutritionist,
she became on board.
Yeah, she became on board. Few days passed and I get the meal plan and my reaction was, what the heck? This is like...
Well, it was a bit more profane than that, but yes.
So breakfast, 2 times carbs. We're going to talk about servings, I guess, like 2 times carbs. That would be like, for example, 2 slices of bread or 1 bagel or 1 English muffin. First reaction, seeing a bagel, doesn't a bagel have like 85 grams of carbs? Right off the bat, I'm like way above my 45 grams. But it's not only the only thing. Like we need 2 proteins, for example, 2 eggs or 1 egg and cheese, like 2 servings of proteins.
Okay.
Peanut butter was good in there. 1 fruit.
So right there, that's where we get in trouble, because with your carb and then the fruit, we are over.
Yeah. And 1 milk.
Oh, and we added milk.
And if needed, like for it to not be too bland, add a little bit of Nutella or jam.
Wait a minute. Can I just ask the question? What makes some toast with eggs bland? Why do I need Nutella or jam on that?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's probably like you can have like either one or the other, but like that makes sense. Like on top of that, when we had a phone call, we explained to her what she was eating. So for example, like what he likes to have is a little sandwich with like 2 slices of bread, a little bit of mayo, 1 egg, a little bit of bacon, a little bit of ham, a little bit of cheese. So everything that in the breakfast that she recommended is there, except for the fruit, except for the Nutella or the jam. But when I started doing the math, if you think about it, like 2 slices of bread, add the fruit, add the Nutella, add the milk, I'm already like at probably 80, 90 grams of carbs for a meal.
Again, I'm confused
Mhm.
because we're aiming at 45
Yeah.
per meal.
Yeah.
But isn't the Nutella already taking away 25% of his total carbs for the, like, even that, like, so
And there's not even or like if my I would have assumed maybe like if you put jam or Nutella on the toast, take out the fruit, but no, it's all there. Like so this is more food than he was
oh,
already
because it was an
having.
addition.
Just making the math, doing the maths there, like that was already
Oh,
easily
okay.
like 80 or 90 grams of carbs.
So then we have snack.
Okay, so then we have snack, one fruit, uh, plus 40 grams of cheese, or one fruit plus 125 mils of Greek yogurt. Again, like snack a couple hours after breakfast, one fruit usually averaging 30 grams of carbs.
I just want to pause you for a second because I just realized something. When we had our conversation after hearing that there was going to be 45 per meal, we were all excited because it was going to be 135-ish grams of carbs, which we totally believe that he can do everything he needs to do at 135. We did not realize that she was planning to send 6 or 7 meals because
meals, yeah.
there's snacks in
There's
here.
snacks in there.
So now instead of it being 135,
Yeah.
it's actually
It's
200 and
Yeah, you're right. I was surprised to see snacks there.
snack. Yeah.
For sure, when he's gonna go to school, he has snacks. But like for the summer, like usually they don't have snack.
And the only reason he has snacks at school is because there is a snack time at school.
Even though they have a snack before the school year was over, I was sending snack that was more like cheese and
Yeah.
you like that. So
Yeah.
it's easy to have a relatively low carb snack. For snack, a fruit and cheese or fruit and Greek yogurt. Like if you're not careful with your Greek yogurt and you take vanilla, that can add another 17, 18 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
Plus the fruit, that's 30 grams. So you're at 48 grams for a snack. Then come lunch. So 150 grams of meat. So, okay. Vegetables. She said 1 cup or more, like whatever. A free pass, like unless it's carrots or potatoes, but like I usually avoid those anyway. 2 or 3 carbs. So, again, 2 slices of bread or a cup of rice. Like, remember that one? Or a cup of potatoes or a cup of quinoa. Just when I read that, I was like, went to my cupboard because I still had a box of rice. A cup of rice is 75 grams of carbs, which is more than the 45 for the meal. And on top of that, like a fruit or a granola bar or another light dessert at 150 calories.
Oh, there's a dessert on this
There's a
meal.
dessert.
And
Really?
I'm just going to add to that because, again, she was telling you that we're trying to max out at 45 grams, but says vegetables. She doesn't specify low carb
rice,
vegetables and give a few examples. She just says vegetables.
Yeah.
So what if the person decides to put potatoes there? Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's-
I'm sorry. It does say un tasse de patate. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness.
a
How
couple of
much
potatoes.
grams of carbs would that be?
Honestly going to
Okay.
be much better than rice, that's for sure. If we move to the afternoon snack, again, like we have a fruit because like the Canadian food guy, you need to have 5 or 6 fruits per day and 15 nuts or for example 1 slice of bread with some peanut butter or 4 or 5 crackers with cheese. And then comes supper, like that's exactly like lunch. So another 150 grams of meat, that's fine. Like vegetables, like if you're careful with like avoiding potatoes or carrots, is fine. And 2-3 carbs, like another like cup of couscous or pasta or rice or whatever, and a fruit. But like she told, like she wrote a fruit or a little dessert at 150 calorie optional. If you're not careful and put, for example, spaghetti, and like you can easily top 125 grams in that supper.
I think what's interesting to me with this is that you guys sat down with her and told her what he was already eating, and this meal guide is worse than what he was already eating.
Yeah.
It's more snacks, it's more carby foods than what he was actually already eating.
Yeah.
And so here's another thing I want to point out to people. Sometimes like stuff like this will happen where the nutritionist is going to come in and tell you to do this, do that. And because we are programmed to listen to people who are in authority, we will actually start eating and we will gain weight. And who again gets blamed? Me. Because I couldn't have done it right. But this is actually more food than our guy was eating. He wasn't chasing that much food either. Like I've said it a bunch of times, but when I tell you that our 3 kids get up and rarely have breakfast. Like they don't have breakfast. Their first meal is somewhere in the afternoon. He's included in that.
Mhm.
He gets up, he plays his games, he goes around.
Oh yeah.
He's not his first papa j'ai faim comes
Yeah.
like so far into the like
Yeah. Around 11:30.
around it, yeah,
11:45. Yeah.
like around the lunchtime.
Probably all kids are creature of habits. He knows that dad's like he's not even thinking about like you said about breakfast, but when he's at his mom or grandparents, like he gets up and have like a little breakfast, and we'll have a snack in the morning. But just by reading that, I was like, what the heck? Why is that different from
What you
the
said.
the basic first rule that was 45 grams per meal? And I wasn't even counting snacks because for me snacks was okay. Have a piece of cheese or have like something low carb. Um,
So
and she knew from the start that he was not eating that much junk food like to start, like he was having too much dessert, maybe too much sweet, because he was having one at lunch, one at supper. But we already fixed that before seeing the nutritionist, where I was like, okay, you're gonna have one dessert per day, and I cut the dessert like the number of carbs he was having. So to me, I think like she just took something out of a like a template like she gave all her clients and go with that.
I mean, I didn't meet the lady, so. But the other thing I'm going to say is that buzzwords, right? She comes through the door and like we're going to do low carb, but did she actually understand what low carb is? So there's a lot of times when I'm talking to people, the first thing I ask them if we're going to actually have a conversation about why keto isn't working for me is, what are you eating? And a lot of times when they start telling me what they're eating and I start doing the math in my head, I realize, okay, that's why keto's not working for you. You're not doing keto. And this is a perfect example of it. She came to the table with something that sounded like it would be low carb, but ended up with something that was more carb than our guy was already eating. That's a recipe for weight gain. And a lot of it because I think that she came in with the buzzword, but didn't think that we were going to do the math. Because I think that even though he said fully clearly that he already does low carb and whatever, I don't think she fully, so either she doesn't understand, because why would you put yourself in a position to get called out like that? So either she doesn't understand what low carb is, or just didn't think you'd do the math and didn't believe you that you were already doing low carb.
But she is nice, by the way. The good thing is like the first because the first phone call was just like the screening, and the first in-person appointment, I did the maths and I had some notes, and I was like, what the heck, like what is that? And her reasoning was somewhat good, where she knew how he was eating at his mom, and she knew how he was eating at us, and tried to get into like a middle point to make it easy for mom but okay for dad too. But
And I will say that when you said that to me the first time, I called BS on that,
yeah.
because the logic would have been, give dad a meal plan that made sense for dad and give mom a meal plan that approached dad's. So I feel like she just,
But
I think you're right. She had a form
yeah,
and she gave you a form.
just like logging his food in a spreadsheet that both me and mom have access to, bring even mom to make better decisions. So that was like, and educating my son to better choice. Like right now, I'm not even like scared to bring him to a breakfast place anymore, because the last few times he actually chose, he made choices like, okay, dad, I'm gonna have like the 2 eggs, bacon, I'm gonna have less potatoes, and I'm not gonna take the bread. I was like, what? And it came from him. The first week was harder, but now he is making much better decisions. I'm super proud. Like, he's doing great, and it shows. Like already in a month, I think he lost like 7 pounds or something like that. The goal was for him to lose around 20 pounds in a year, but I want to get him like at 20 pounds much faster than a year.
I think we should be aiming for him to have the correct waist to height ratio.
Yeah.
Whatever that ends up being, it might not be 20 pounds,
Yeah.
because he's also gaining
think-
muscle, because
yeah.
we do encourage our kids to be active, and he was struggling to be as running around as much when the weight will start to go on. I'm hopeful that he will start being back out there, and I feel like
creature-
it's going to work.
Yeah, but creature of habits. When he's with me, every meal after supper, we're going for a 30-minute walk. And I told him, when you're with your mom, like go with your brother, like just go do your 30 minutes, or like it doesn't need to be after supper, but like try to do it. And like the other day, you came for supper, and he was planning to say, oh yeah, but no, after supper it's like the walk and then the shower, and then like I was like, okay, like so it's like it's written in his mind that every after every supper we are going for a 30-minute walk. It was funny to me how still like a standard American, I'm talking about mom, like still consider a cup or half a cup of orange juice healthy in the morning. Being my son was having his little orange juice every morning, and that was considered healthy until I told her, like, there's more sugar in that in a full sweet soda. So like we made some correction in that.
So looking back at our beginning, I'm that person. I'm the scientist. So when I started my keto lifestyle, before I actually started, I tracked my foods for a week to see how many grams of carbs I was actually eating before I started to do my keto. I was easily having the 300 to 400 grams of carbs in a day. Our kids actually eat the same meals as us and add on it cookies and chips. So like one of the things that's really hard with the meal plan that this lady proposed, that when we changed our way of eating, it dramatically so in your house, it dramatically changed how much carb they were eating in a day in their meals. So then the only thing that they were having extra was whatever cookies or whatever that they had on top that we were still not having. We were having 20 grams of carbs or less. On multiple days, our kids have for their meals 20 grams of carbs or less. And then they add stuff throughout their day of like the little whatevers that we don't care that they eat because we're not trying to force them. So I just go back to this, like, if you consider, like, for him, we had already said 1 dessert per day. He was well below 200 grams of carbs per day when he's with us. It's disappointing sometimes when you see people that are in a profession, they're using words and terminology, but then you realize that they're not using it the same way that we understand. Like, I feel like that causes mistakes to happen because, again, I think a typical person who didn't know nothing about low carb and would have been presented that as low carb would have just fed the kid that food and then would have been somehow thinking the kid is sneaking food, that they didn't lose weight, not realizing that what was actually written there was not what the person told them that they were going to be doing.
Obesity in kids has risen like in the past maybe past 10 years, 15 years. I have to check some stats, but like
50,
it's alarming.
50
it's
since 1970s.
1970s. It's alarming. So maybe that kind of meal plan makes sense if you feed your kids like off fast food every day. I don't know, like, but it was not the case for us, and she knew that.
But that's the part that bothers me, is that you guys took the time to tell her in each household what you guys were eating. And she didn't, and she said she was going to do a specialized meal plan for him and did not come back with something that seemed specialized for what the two of you said. And especially for the fact that there's 2 different homes. There should have been 2 different meal plans, one respecting what you had already accomplished and one trying to get mom in a better place.
Yeah, but for sure to bring mom to also a better place, like the adaptation on that menu were not that hard to do.
But this is again where I'm saying that had you not been the person to know that information, then like maybe if I was Madame Tout le Monde, I would have gotten that and I would have just given the kid that was there and not known that I was now overfeeding him. Right? Because it's better than the cookies he was eating. So but not realizing that no, it's not better than the cookies he was eating. That's the part that bothers me about that. Because when we go to a professional, we have an expectation that they know what they're talking about, but we also have an expectation that if they don't know, they're going to say, I don't know, let me check. Right? If someone is going to go see someone to do a mechanical something on their car and the person doesn't know how to work on that car, they should tell you, I don't know how to work on this. Take it to a specialist. Right? And it's the same thing here. I see a possibility there that could happen to somebody else. And that's why we're talking about this, because we want you to know that it don't just take their word for it. If the foods there don't make sense, say something. And I hope that because you said something, in her future she's going to be more clear and because I honestly still question whether she knew. So I hope that she will do her math and realize that this thing she's calling low carb is not low carb. 200 and something grams of carbs per day is not low carb.
At the end of the day, with like this little story there, like for me, the simplest, but because of we were aware of the damage of carbs, like the simplest rule was the one rule to apply, but we were already eating whole food and good food. So for me, like if the nutritionist would have told me like keep it 45 grams per meal, or less, and like less than 10 or 5 grams per snack if he has snacks, I would have been super fine with that. But like for mom, doing that math was actually pretty hard. She was like, for me, a meal plan is better because I don't have to do the math. I'm glad to say that carb awareness is not that hard. Okay.
What I want to add here is the reason I don't tell you guys what I eat is exactly what he just said. That for mom, a meal plan is more easy, but then the meal plan was not right. And the reason I don't tell you guys what I eat, and I tell you, get out your calculator, do the math, figure it out, is because then somebody else can't come in and say, oh no, this is good, this is less than, because you're going to look at that and be able to say, turn it over, ingredients. Even if I don't know, even if I don't have access to everything, I can just look at ingredients, and if I see first ingredient flour, first ingredient sugar, I know, put it down. That's dangerous. Even if the how many carbs is in it is not there, right? I can go to my friend's house and they've made a meal and I can look at what's in the meal and go, no, I can't eat that, without knowing everything. I just look at the big pieces and see, nope, there's too much carb on that plate. I want you guys to be able to do that. I want every wellness warrior to be able to analyze what's being put in front of them and be able to say whether safe or not safe. When you're telling me that that was part of the conversation, it's like, oh, I want a meal plan so it's simple. Simple and healthy are two different things. And I would much rather us focus on healthy so that he is going to be with us well far into the future. I want to leave before him. That's my goal, right? And if we do simple, I might leave after, and I don't want that. Let's not do simple. Never. Wellness warriors, never. You're more valuable. Do not do simple. You should always be trying to do what's healthiest, period.
Even before seeing that nutritionist, like I have had in the on my fridge an image, just a little muscular dude, where like the other dude is like has a tummy, where I have like food that goes in that category, and I have the red food, the yellow food, and the green food. I told you like at the beginning of the video, he had Down syndrome, so it was easier like for him to see a bunch of images, and it worked. Yeah.
If you're trying to educate kids, like these pictograms are always a great way to like really fast than they can do, but even for ourselves, right? Because that's the other thing too, is like, as I'm making this for my kid, I'm taking decisions about what I'm putting in each category, which then helps me to remember these are not healthy. Like the things that are going over here in the red, they're not healthy things. Why are they in my house to begin with? And I know it's been the story from the beginning that when the kids come to my house, it's like, oh, well, I never had anything. But you know what? You don't need that stuff. So it's another thing to think about, because if you're putting stuff in the red category and telling your kids not to eat it, you probably shouldn't be eating it either. There's a video on the screen right there that's going to help you to take the carbohydrates out of your life. Wellness warriors, always happy that you come back. Everybody who's new, welcome.
Please share the video to as many friends as possible, and why not hit the like and subscribe and ring the bell.
I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition.
Talk to you next week.
Can't wait to talk to you again next week.